cut from a different cloth. Now, joining forces, helping you to elevate your personal brand. Yeah, I'm talking about Nicky and Moose, bringing you a never-before-seen perspective into the mindset, the mentality, the behaviors, the driving force, but more importantly, the stories behind the people and brands that you know and love the most.
Was poppin'. Welcome, Nicky and Moose. I'm Nicky. That's Moose. What's up, Moose?
What up, y'all?
And we are on YouTube Live.
Let's go.
What's up, people? What episode dropped today? I don't even know what episode dropped.
Episode 39.
Episode 39 came out. We talked about a lot of things like we always... I need something... How about this? In the chat or in the comments, wherever you're watching this, help me come up with something to say besides we have a lot to talk about this week. I feel like I say this a little bit too much now. I don't know. That's just me. Shout out to Ashley. She's already in the building. I'm not singing that. The song hits different when you see that Mary J. Blige doc. Oh, did you see it yet? Did you see it?
I did not see it. I thought you were talking to Ash, but I'm like, wait, you wouldn't be talking to Ash. I don't know why I'm like, what? No. Sorry. Yeah, no, I did not see it yet. Because, well, you gave me kind of like a weird review about it. You said it's a really
it's heavy.
Emotionally taxing. Yes, I'm like, I don't know if I want to start my week with that. Maybe like going into Sunday or something. I don't know.
It's heavy. It is. Whatchamacallit? I was going to say something. Even on her interview in The Breakfast Club, they were like, yo, we cried like 4 times. You know, it's heavy.
Dang, Mary.
Yeah, it's heavy. She went through some stuff. I ain't going to hold you. She went through some stuff.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't know any of that, though. Like, I had no idea.
Oh, really?
I had no idea, yeah. That's crazy.
Then you definitely got to watch the doc. If you didn't know it, you definitely got to watch the doc.
I will. I'm going to check it out.
Let me do my usual. Go check it out. Whoop, 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 right? And then, of course, if you're on Apple, go join the All Access Squad. A new bonus episode is going to drop tomorrow. All right? So you could try that out for free $99 for 3 days, right? Get a feel of what we be talking about. And then, just join us in the All Access Squad. I mean, but
check us out, y'all. Check us out.
So update us about married life. How's married life? We got to do this once every other week or something. I mean,
it's pretty good, man. It's pretty good. I think Ash said it's good. You need to see it. Moose gives you some perspective. I trust your feedback, Ash, and your taste. So I'm definitely going to check it out. But no, marriage life has been cool, man. I think it's a tremendous opportunity to grow. Mm-hmm. And it's a test of both patience and perseverance. And I'm not saying that because of marriage. I'm saying that because of me. As a perfectionist, you want things to happen like so quick, or you want things to be perfect right away. And it's like, yo, you're not perfect. You can't expect nobody else to be perfect. So you got to have the patience and the perseverance to see things through, like to continue to say, all right, let's do the work. How can we, continue to work together to make this thing happen? And the other thing is, you got to be very sensitive to the other person's needs, at least from a male's perspective. Like, I didn't realize that I needed to work on sensitivity. I'm like, oh, maybe I'm a little...
Out of everybody?
Believe it or not, I was like, wow, I got to be a little bit more mindful of how my words can, hit. Like today, perfect example, real life scenario. I'm going to give you a Nicky feel real quick. Real life
scenario, yay!
Real life scenario. Yo, so tell me how I'm going to the barbershop. Yes, I'm bald, but I still shave my beard. I think the beard is, I got to keep the beard right.
Okay.
So anyway, so I go to the barbershop today, and we get up to the shop. Usually I spend about 45 minutes at the shop. Okay. So she's with me, and I said, hey, are you going to come in or are you going to stay in the car? She looked up something on her phone and said, no, I'm actually going to go to the car. I'm going to go to a store right around here. It's like 12 minutes away. I said, perfect. We don't have to pay for parking. Mm-hmm. Key point here, okay? We don't have to pay for parking.
Okay.
Because we're right in front of the shop. Okay, cool. So she takes the car, she leaves. About 40 or so minutes go by. She comes back and she says, I'm on my way. I said, perfect. I'm almost done. So I'm thinking she's going to wait for me out again in the car, or she'll park somewhere and then come back inside. She comes inside. I'm just about done with my haircut. She's talking to my barber, Pablo. I go in, I wash up, boom. I said, all right, I'm ready to go. Now, time out right here. Right here, let me just give a quick timeout. Nikki, if we talked about paying for parking, okay, when we first arrived, should that not be a discussion point at the time that you come back?
The parking? To pay for parking? What do you mean? Was it a discussion point?
I mean, you would take care of the parking. Like, would you not? Like, we get to a spot together, you and I say, Nix, we either got to pay for parking or you could just go, knock out that thing at the sneaker store that you wanted to pick up.
I'll take care of it since I'm the reason why I have to pay for parking.
Thank you. That's why you and I get along.
Yeah.
Goes inside.
But we're friends. Now,
that's the difference.
Yeah, exactly. If there was a relationship thing, it doesn't matter what I do.
So long story short, folks, just for those who are tuned in, she comes inside, I finish up, we both come outside, and we find a ticket on the window. I said, oh my God. Did you not? She was like, oh, I thought it was going to be so quick. I said, girl, I told you. So anyway, I had to work on my sensitivity in that moment.
See, no, wait. I thought, hold up, okay. Because when you asked that, I thought it was who's going to pay for the parking, right?
No.
And I would assume, if you have to park and like you have to pay something in New York. So like, since you left, you got to pay for the parking, not let me chance it in New York that this will be a 3 seconds. They are waiting. They are hawks. They're
out there like ants. They know what's up. Yeah. So that was my whole thing. But I realized again, I'm working with a flight attendant. I'm working with a flight attendant. So I should know it's not about, that's not the fun stuff. The fun stuff is like doing other things, which at that point for her was recording. Right, which at that point was like recording a TikTok video or something like that. So in her mind, she's like, I'm about to go in the shop and do a TikTok video, not pay for parking. But so you know what I'm saying? We working on it. I'm like, man. Tickets.
Yeah.
Tickets.
Pay for your parking tickets, people. Or actually just pay the little thing that pays for your parking.
No, that was it. Just make sure you fill the meter before you go inside the shop. That's it.
Yeah, just the meter. The meter is great, but if you don't, it's you just pay the ticket, people. Just pay the ticket unless you live on the wild side and you think you can make it before they come and ticket your car. But this is clearly not the topic of the day.
No.
Shout out to Isaiah who hit us up with the super chat. You're still wrong, Moose. Welcome to marriage.
Dang. I'm learning, bruh. I'm learning.
He is learning, people. Let him live. He is going to pay for a lot of random things, and he will realize that. But that's cool. That's cool. What are we talking about today, Moose?
Yeah, man. So let me give you guys the backstory. I mean, we were on a mastermind with E yesterday and some of our community members, and E was talking about the importance of taking a social media fast. And the reason specifically behind the social media fast is that so that you can begin to really find your own voice. And I was like, man, that's powerful. And as I started thinking about it, I said, okay, I could see the reasoning for that. Then the second layer he added to it was more specifically, I want you to listen to your own voice. And he wasn't just saying like listening to your intuition.
Yep.
He was more so saying like listen to actual content of your voice so that you can kind of play back and hear how you speak, how you sound, right? Where your stuff comes from. And it just struck a nerve with me. I said, hold up, but does everyone on this call actually have enough content of their own recorded that they can take a 1 month fast from social media and have enough content to consume of their own to still test out? And that's what really struck the conversation. I said, probably not.
Nope.
Because we do so much consuming of other people's content. And of course, rightfully so, there's so much out there that it's easier to consume. It's easier to get entertained, to get a laugh, or even learn from other people instead of really tapping into our own. But the other part of it too, Nix, is that we don't trust our own creativity or our own voice to create enough content that if we were challenged to do something like that, we can actually successfully do it. All right. So I wanted to bring it to the live and really have a conversation, right? So that we can, number one, establish some sort of boundaries around how we interact with other people's content. Because I'm not saying, engaging with other people's content is no good. You often encourage people to comment on other people's posts, just like you want people to do to your posts, do on to others. Like I've heard you say that.
Yep.
But I also want to develop, just like talk through some concepts around how we can also have principles or strategies that we follow to hone into our own creativity. So I don't know if let's start there. Like take us back maybe down your experience, wherever it may be. If there was ever a time where you found yourself like a little over on the consumer side or over on the consumption side of other people's content, and just how did that change over time? Like where are you at with that now? Because I know, part of the ways or one of the ways you gain inspiration is through music videos. Like I know you said when you're uninspired, you go watch music videos, which I love, by the way, because it's outside of your lane, right? It's not like you go watch other people's branding content. No, you go into something totally different that allows you to get your juices flowing, and then you come back into, what you're supposed to be creating. So let's start there. Again, was there ever a time where you were probably over consuming other people's content? And then what was that process like?
I think in the very early days, can't even remember. I try not to remember things when I wasn't executing. You know what I mean? But I think in the early days, just trying to figure out what works, what doesn't, I think I spended too much time looking at things than necessarily creating things. So, and I thought it was research. I thought it was like, I'm gonna see exactly the master plan and figure out from here and there. And I wasn't figuring something out and trying it out. I was just like, okay, that works. I could do this, I could do that. And then I find out that it's pretty much like a whole week and I haven't done anything for myself, right? Now, for E and all, that's always taken care of. But for myself, I wasn't doing anything because I was consuming a little bit too much. Now, which is the weirdest thing, now I'm in I would say like about 2-3 weeks of under consuming than over consuming. I'm not consuming enough to be able to get as inspired as I was before because I'm too much in a execute world. And I'm like, I already feel like I need to kind of like refill my tank up soon, right? Like I have enough from what I've already consumed that it could go through this whole execution vibe that I have right now because we're about to launch an event, not us, Dr. Eric Thomas, not us. Okay, before they'd be like, what? No, not yet. But so I'm so focused on that I'm not even in my usual like podcast vibes, book vibes. I just started listening again to my ebook. I just like, so, but before it was a week or two and I didn't create a single thing, where now it's more of a couple of minutes or maybe the most an hour of consumption. But out of the hour, I'm probably creating 3-4 pieces of content after that.
Okay, now, don't skip past that though, because I think that you are one of the best at being able to put your own spin take something that you learn and remix it specific to your lane. Right. And I don't know that a lot of people know that that's possible. Right. I think that most people end up just taking something and almost doing it exactly or putting it out exactly as they've heard it, but they don't put enough, thought into, okay, how does this apply specific to my lane and my audience and who I am as a person? Or they might even completely overlook something that they've learned because it's not specific to their lane. Like they weren't able to make that connection. What's that process for you now? Like, because again, I know that, remember, we were multiple books that we've listened to almost at the same time, where it's like, oh, I'm about to remix this whole thing into branding lessons, like specific to that concept. So what's that process like for you? What goes through your mind when you're listening to something and you're able to make the connection? Because that might seem simple, but I know for some people, they don't understand how they can connect one thing from a red universe and make it make sense in a blue universe.
Well, and I guess this is going to be hard for me to explain because I never had to explain that because I always flip everything. So bear with me, people. I'm big on like anything that I consume. How can I make money, or how can I flip it into a teaching lesson for my audience, right? I believe any lesson that we learn, it could go into our lane some way, shape, or form, right? So it's not necessarily, and how I look at it from, like, let's say a book, right? Like we read the same book, but I'll find 2 points out of maybe a 300-page book, and I'd be like, boom, I can take these 2 parts and put it into branding, right? There was a book, what was it called? What's My Genius or something like that, right?
What's Your Genius?
Yeah, that one, right? And the whole beginning was fire for me. And when I got what I wanted, the rest was just mediocre. I didn't really necessarily have to read it because I had everything I needed as far as, I take this for brandings or I take this for content. I'm not the reader to read. I don't necessarily like reading. That's not my vibe. But I read with a purpose of trying to create mastery, right? I read to be able to find things that no one else has. So I'll read different biographies. I'll watch different series. I'll do all these things in context of how can I make whatever's trending or what people are talking about or simple lessons that we've learned in life, and how can I make it very simple for my audience and what I speak of, just because, like I said, it's a mastery thing, because if you've learned this and you resonated over here, then how can I flip it over to what I do? Because that means I'll grab your attention. That means I'll really figure out how to articulate exactly what I want because I've studied what got your attention over here. If that made sense. I don't know if that made sense.
It makes perfect sense. Oh no, it makes perfect. I know exactly what you're saying. All right. So the way I make sense of what you're saying is that you consume for the purpose of mastery, not so much for just because. Yeah. Right. Like you're not just you're reading for a purpose, right? Which I think is a phenomenal way to establish a boundary around what we consume and how we consume. So if you're consuming for a purpose, if you're consuming for something specific to your niche, your lane, your industry, or your audience, it automatically establishes a boundary of number one, what you consume and how much of it you expose yourself to. All right. So I love that. That makes a lot of sense. Now, let's get a little bit on the other side of it now. All right. The creativity part. I don't know if you establish any real boundaries around creativity. Like, is that something that you do? Is that a thing? Like, how does that work? Or is it just like, I must create once a day, twice a day? Or like, what does that flow like?
The minimum is create once a day. the minimum for
Okay.
me. Like I have to be consistent somehow, some way, because then I will lose steam. I'll find a reason not to create tomorrow. I won't find a reason to go live on the, like, now I'm finding reasons. So for me, the bare minimum is 1, but like I'm probably creating like 4 or 5 things within a day, right? Just because I don't know what's going to happen. I got inspired by this. I always feel like when you create one more, you know. And so the bare minimum is 1, but there's not necessarily a structure to me or a sense of like, this hit me, so let me create kind of thing. For like, for my own personal page, I do have a structure so I can stay consistent, right? So I do have like the tweets, the reels, and then whatever else I want to create, right? Just so I know what's to come to next. So I don't, like, I could get creative within that lane, but I know I have to create that particular thing. So I'm not guessing. Like, I just get better within that one thing instead of better in 7 different features, right? Because when it's too much, then I feel overwhelmed, then I won't do anything. But if I go, okay, all I got to do is think of a tweet. What's crazy in my head right now? And I still don't know why those do good, but for some reason everybody loves it. Cool. Let me continue to share what's in my head. Bang. Right? Let me do a reel. I'm on this whole, let's be very simple. Let's say a bar. Let's walk in front of the camera. Let's walk out the camera. We're good. Right? Now I'm starting to get a little bit creative because I feel like it. But the bare minimum, those are the 2 things that will always be created just so it can continue. Like, I'll do bare minimum, but even that bare minimum, like I said, with that simple reel where I walk in, walk out, I know me keeping it simple will then spark extra creativity because I'll get bored. And I'll be like, okay, now let's do it with the actual camera. Now let's try to do a little glitch thing. Let's add extra things and things like that. And by me at least having the foundation of what I'm going to create, it will spark creativity within me to be better than what I did before.
I love that. Let's talk about the screen time analytics. You know, like, I know iPhone got that feature where it kind of like measures screen time, right? And oftentimes when you tell somebody, hey, create boundaries around how much you consume, their immediate response or their immediate place to look is, well, let's look at your screen time, right?
Okay.
What's your thoughts on that? Because, you know, for some people, it's like, well, I know for me personally, like my YouTube screen time is out of control. Right. But that's because YouTube is specifically one of the platforms that I go to kind of, like you said, study for mastery. So much of my search, much of my ideas, much of my space, or just my whole discovery is more so coming from YouTube and not so much Instagram, which can tend to be a little bit trendy. But that's just what works for me.
Right.
But let's just talk about that for a second for some of the people who give out that advice. Because I could see from one side, you know what, it is valid. Like, if you're not someone who's reaching your goal of consistency, whatever your goal for consistency is, if you're not reaching that, then it makes sense to say, okay, well, let's look at your screen time and let's see how we can win back some of that time so that you can be a little bit more productive. Talk to us. Are you looking up your screen time right now? What's happening? Because I see you smiling. Like,
hold on, let me see if
what
I
you got.
First tell me yours, I'll tell you mine. And anybody who has an iPhone, I don't know if they do this on Android, people, so bear with me. Okay. But if you have an iPhone, please tell me what your screen time is, and I will share live what mine is. I will share.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, hit us in the chat, man. Talk to us about your screen time. What's your screen time like? Are we talking a specific app or are we just talking overall?
We could do whatever you want to do. We could do whatever you want to do. We could do week, day. We could
Okay.
What you want to do?
Okay, let me see. This crazy. This is the first time I actually like dive into it. This got the number of time you pick up your phone. This got a whole bunch of stuff. Okay. So let's do this one. How many times you pick up your phone? I got 94 pickups.
Where's that at? Hold on. I didn't even know that happened.
Oh, scroll down a little bit.
Okay,
yeah,
so
pickups. How many times?
A day or a week?
Pick up your phone? This is for the day. Just today, I got 20 pickups. I'm sorry, not 20 pickups. 94 pickups.
Okay,
what you got?
Hold on. Let me.
I see Black Pearl's World said daily 7 hours and 2 minutes.
Hold on.
Talk to us about them pickups, y'all. For those everyone tuned in with us, what you got on the pickups?
Who got the pickups?
How many pickups?
Let me.
I'm averaging 94. Most of them were the text messaging, and 7 of them were for Instagram. That's my second highest pickups, or like the second category.
So y'all ready?
Okay. No way. What in the world? Yo, that's like 5 times the amount that I got. That's crazy. Wow.
So that's today.
And we're not even done with the day.
That's today. Okay.
All right. Here it goes. This is good. So in case, for those who are wondering, like, yo, what does it take to be in the world of Nicky right now? Here's some behind the scenes, some inside look. I got 94. You got how much? 300 and what?
332.
332. My goodness. Okay. That's crazy. How many of those were for Instagram?
30.
30 for Instagram. Okay, so about 10% went for Instagram. I see Terry say he got 70 pickups.
77 pickups. Okay.
Between IG and YouTube. Okay.
I see Mario in the building. Mine's 8 hours, 5 minutes per day, down 10% from last week. Okay.
That's fire.
All right.
Oh, I'm right there with, oh, wow, Mario. I think me and you are twins. I legit got 8 hours and 5 minutes a day, too.
Mine's on a weekly is 12 hours, 22 minutes. I'm down 20%, though, so that.
Wow.
Down 20%.
Okay. Show me that stat right there. What? Go back. So it said, I'm under weekly screen time. Okay, because if you look at the top, you got weekly screen time, daily screen time. My weekly screen time is 7 hours, 58 minutes, which is down 14% from the week prior. So I got a little less screen time last week.
Okay.
I spent 4 hours on Instagram. What you got for the week? So you say you got 12 hours?
14 hours and 50 minutes on Instagram.
Wow. Okay. Let's break that down. I see people and folks, if you're looking at this right now, like I just want you to be honest, because honestly, we can look at this and be like,
here we go. Shout out to Santana. 277 pickups. All right. Check the amount of notifications, y'all. Yeah, already know. It's
wow.
I got pickups because you see the notifications. You know what I mean? No, okay. This is not a day. So a day here, because Dalton was like, a day? No, a day. Well, today. I don't know a day, but today. Instagram has 2 hours, 53 minutes of my life. Messenger. I was actually on Clubhouse today. Shout out to Clubhouse. Mail. I don't even know why, because I don't even check my mail. So mail. Marriott, because I had to book a hotel that I gave to Moose, and then he picked the opposite.
That did happen today. Yep.
You know what I mean? But I'm just saying. Notification. Wow. Oh, how much are your notifications? Who could beat my notifications? Y'all already see it in the today. How many notifications you have?
1,500? Oh, nah. My notifications are turned off. I got one. I got one notification. That's crazy. Wow. Wow. Okay. Man, so and
I'm
again,
transparent about mine. I'm transparent about mine. I'm just saying.
No, that's real, because I think a lot of people would try and hide from that. Like, oh shoot, I spent 14 hours on Instagram. I can't. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's real. I love that. But
Look,
no,
there we go. That's what I was like. Nikki's down 20%. That means her pickups would be 20% higher.
insane. No, that's crazy. Because I'm looking at mine. It said 90 something for the day, and you already at 332 or something like that.
Look,
Man, not.
Ronald said, I am Team Android, so I gracefully bow out from this part of the combo.
Oh, man.
Gerald said 290. Look, I love, shout out to those who are transparent in this game.
Facts.
Real quick. Shout out to
Facts.
y'all. I want to just, because y'all didn't have to be as transparent as I am. I mean, I'm cool with mine.
This is real. This is all real stuff. And I guess I'm just trying to make sense of it, because it's like, at the end of the day, we can really be honest with ourselves in terms of like, yo, why do you spend that much time on some of the apps that you do? And more importantly, what are you there for? Right? And that's the part. Like, if you're there just entertaining yourself, then yeah, you could probably use that as one of the metrics that, you're saying, okay, let me put some of this time back. I'll be honest, this time last year, I was spending a ridiculous amount of social media, like a ridiculous amount of time on social media. And I put one of the time limits. So like I set a daily average of like an hour a day, as a way to kind of like back myself out of that, because it wasn't just the fact that I was spending an hour on there or more than an hour. It was the fact that I really was just straight up consuming, and the other C word, more so comparing. Right. And that was like, oh man, that's where you're reaching the danger zone, right? Like you're starting to not just consume content, but you're going specifically to look at other people so you can compare what you're not doing or what you should be doing. And I can get it for some time, but if you're constantly doing it, it's not a good look. Right. So I started putting a limit specifically on my use for Instagram, just to back out of that a little bit, where now it's a little bit more reasonable, an hour a day or an hour and 10 minutes. I'm like, okay, I could work around that, but not dedicate my life to it. But again, my point to this all is like, yo, you could spend more time on it, but truthfully and honestly asking yourself and looking in the mirror, you can see that your time is being productive.
Yep.
Right? Like we use Instagram right now as a method for preparing for our show. Like, each episode that comes out, we're using Instagram as one of the platforms that we research for. We send stuff to each other back and forth about, this headline. We saw something about Kim K. We'll probably talk about next week. I don't know. We'll discuss it. But, so like it for us, I can actually justify some of the time spent on social because it's truly used for producing more content.
Right.
All right. So that's just one of the things that I wanted to bring to the table. But I'm glad we had that. I didn't expect we were going to spend this much time getting everyone to look at that. But man, I'd be curious to see, man, for those of you who are tuned in, let us know. It's like, yo, are you productive with this screen time? Is some of it being a little bit more on the playful, wasted time, or what's it looking like from that front? But no, that's interesting. Talk to us about the creative side now. And again, I know we said we don't necessarily create boundaries, but I want to take a more personal approach to this one, because I shared it with our community yesterday, and I feel like it should be something that should be kind of said, and more people need to listen to it, right? And my whole approach and really in analyzing kind of my personal experience around what stops me from being creative or creating more content or just simply sharing more, oftentimes it's because I feel like I may not value the lens or the perspective in which I see the world from. And here's what I mean by that. I might be, like, for example, that whole ticket story. I might experience that today. And it's something similar. Like every single one of us, we have a unique walk, a unique life experience that's happening every single day, right? And it may not be drastic every day, but something is happening, right? You're out on the walk, you're out on the move, like you're doing things and you're experiencing life. And that in itself is content. Like I really think that if we were to stop and just really think about, man, what's happening in my day-to-day interactions with people? What am I seeing in the world, or what am I experiencing, or what type of thoughts and ideas am I having? If we can learn to trust that voice, then there's something right there that we're able to pull content from. But the challenge for many of us is that we don't trust that voice, or we don't trust our intuition to feel something, get an idea, or even see something and immediately say to ourselves, man, that could be a good content piece. And oftentimes talk ourselves out of it, like, nah, nobody's going to agree with that. Right. So I just want to talk about that, man. Like, I don't know if that was ever a challenge for you, but more importantly, if it's not, how do you continue to not let that get in your way, right? Like, how do you know what parts of your ideas to listen to, what parts, again, I'm not trying to necessarily be deep with it with the question part, but let's just kind of conversate about that a little bit, as we close out the rest of the show, on this idea, like, how do we build the courage and the confidence to actually trust our voice, like experience something and say, this is a good piece. I could put it out there, whether it resonates with everyone, it doesn't. I think this is a valuable piece of information that needs to go out there.
I think I'll say for me, right, I'm already in a lane that I already look a bit different, right? So if I already look a bit different, then I already sound a bit different. I could just speak and it will be fine, right? So what I mean by that, I'm more clearly in the social media branding lane, and from the people that I was learning from, right, the people that I observed that are the thought leaders in that, they don't necessarily look like us, right? They're not of this minority vibe. So at first that was a bit intimidating. At first I was like, oh, okay, so why isn't more of us doing it, right? Mm-hmm. And then I was researching, and then I saw some people doing it, but not necessarily talking about personal brands super much, right? Until just recently, and now everybody wants to be a really dope personal brand person. But hey, whatever, that's no shade. Mm-hmm. Whatever. But so off top, it would, if I'm trying to look different, I'm trying to sound different on social media, I just had to start, right? I just had to go and try things out. And not necessarily think I had to have it all together, and not have the slides, and not have all these different things that other people already had, and not do it for people, but just do it to figure out my own voice, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't personally say, let me create content so people could like it, so people could engage with it. I started out just to figure out like my own voice in the world that, of course, I feel in the beginning was so crowded, and the thought leaders were the thought leaders, and you can't beat them, right? How can you go, how can you even stand in the same lane as them just starting out? And after a while, when you start doing things, right? Once you start just speaking, once you start creating, you realize how much of a small world it really is, right? And how not really oversaturated it truly is, because you start to figure out your own lane, and you start to figure out how you're not solving the same problems. You're not speaking the same way. You're not even speaking to the same audience. Prime example is, so a lot of people know that I'm super big on Instagram, not big as an audience, just big on how much I love Instagram. And in the early times of just learning things, I used to go to Sue B. Zimmerman, right? She's known on Instagram as the Instagram expert. I mean, if you called yourself the Instagram expert, I'm going to assume you may be an expert, right?
Right.
And I've been following her for years, and it wasn't until Clubhouse is where we got connected, and we are like, we're talking. She loves me. I realized that people of not my color love me. They're like, oh my God, you're just great. I am, I guess. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure this out. But people, they just love me, right? So we go back and forth. We did a live. She put her hat backwards. It was great. It was fun, right? And then I'm realizing, like, yo, you really respect me. I respect you. And then when I go deeper into it, I'm like, why do you respect me? You've been in the game longer. You know more than me, this, that, and the third. But then I find out you're speaking to over 40-year-old people. I'm not even touching that. And if I do have them, those are the ones that still feel young. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm, they still feel young. They don't accept their age. They're like, Nicky, I'm here, right? Mm-hmm. But we're speaking to two different types of audiences. We teach in two different types of ways. We may have somewhat of the same, like, teachings as far as lessons, but how we deliver it is different. What I may know is a little bit different than hers, and vice versa. And it was truly recently where I was like, no one could touch me. And not on no cocky way. It's just on some, she doesn't sound like me, and she's been in the game longer. And I have people who's been in the game longer respecting how I deliver my message and how I deliver my content, and is checking me out. And I'm just like, what? People that I used to watch, people I used to, listen to, and even to today, and I'm not going to call no names, I'll just say a group. I had somebody I was watching for years. If you ever picked up an album from D12, right? Somebody to text me from there, and I'm like, on some, yo, you the GOAT in this, right?
Wow.
And I still, and anybody knows, on a very humble tip, I'd never consider myself that, but I'm starting, and she says right there, because you're the GOAT. No, I'm starting to respect the feedback that people give of me in that kind of status, because I'm understanding there isn't any other person that says it or does it like me, but it wasn't always that way as far as me thinking that, because like I said, when you start, you feel as if it's oversaturated. You feel as if you're the little fish in this big old ocean, right? But in all actuality, as you continue to swim, you swim further away from the crowd. And you stand out a little bit more and more as you continue to figure out your own way. And so once I figured that out, I was like, oh, you can't, y'all still in the back. Y'all, not in no shade, but y'all still in the back. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to continue to figure out how to master telling people in a very simple way how to create content, how to brand yourself, how to take some of these people that we look up to and break it down to a point where it's different lessons that you can extract from and use on yourself. So it has to go from understanding you're going to feel overwhelmed. You're going to feel like you sound like everybody else. You're going to feel like you're not going to beat those people who's been doing it for 10 years. And if you stay in that thought process, you may never will. And that's cool. But if you just continue to just create, like I said earlier, I continue to create something very simple with a simple foundation and got bored of my own self. I didn't The people didn't get bored. I got bored of my own self, and I continued to level up. And that's what I'm saying. If you just go, you're going to get bored of your own self. It's going to feel more like a task that you have to do, and not something that you're always trying to improve and master and want to do.
Bars. I love that. I love that. Nicky is embracing it. That's dope. That's dope. You know, and the flip side of it, man, I'll be honest, I think one of the downfalls of it too is humility. Like I do think that humility is extremely important. Like it's important to be humble and not necessarily be the super braggadocious type.
Right.
And again, I'm nothing against those who are. Like I do believe that you should self-promote. Like you should let people know about what you do and what you're capable of and what you've done. Those are absolutely important. But I think that when that's not your natural style and you're more of a laid back, quiet person, and more specifically, you're extremely humble, the person who downplays every single thing that you do, it becomes extremely difficult, regardless of how good you are, to reach any level of traction, right? Because people don't know. And what they don't know, they don't know, right? Like they just simply do not know. So you cannot even blame them for not reaching out to you, for not connecting with you, for not resonating with your message, because you are so humble. You want to continue to play the humble card that people are just like, well, I don't know, you know, like I'm gonna just keep on scrolling through. All right. So I guess the flip side of what you're sharing too is like, and this is almost a reminder for myself too, it's like, yo, we appreciate humility. We appreciate everyone who's humble and doesn't necessarily want to be the end all be all. Not a problem. But in the space and in the world today, you have to speak out. You have to share your perspective or your experience, even if it's just a little bit, just so that people can start connecting with you and at least start noticing you. And that's why I'm bringing up this concept of, yo, trust your voice, trust the perspective or the lens that you see the world through, because there might be some things that people don't even overlook or people overlook completely, but you might say it to them in a unique way. And it's like, oh, wow, yo, I never realized that. And that becomes the attraction point, right? But if you continue to just numb that voice and you're like, nah, that don't make sense. Nah, don't say that. No, nobody wants to hear that. Then you'll never know. And I love what you said, because it's like through creation is what allowed you to find your lane. Like imagine when you first started that you was like, nobody's doing that. Maybe that won't work. And it's like, actually, it's because no one's doing that it could work. Right. And that it did work, you know? So yeah, no, I love that part, man. I think more of us need to, again, continue to trust that intuition and really listen to the voice of whatever's coming out and just put it out there and see what type of feedback you get. So yeah, no, I'm glad we were able to touch on that.
And the thing also is like, even in the beginning, like, cause I remember in the very, very beginning, I was making up these mashup videos, right? And there was this particular song, still to this day, one of my favorite videos that I ever made. It was this Drake and Beyonce song, Can I? It was only on mixtapes, right? And I made a video for it, and fire. I think the only thing I didn't like was the ending, right? Fire. And I was like, yo, no one's doing that. Like no one is doing like just putting visuals to words the way that this is being depicted. I was like, okay, instead of saying no one's doing that, it possibly won't work or anything like that, I've always hyped myself up as far as, yo, ain't nobody doing this. This is crazy. Like you have to be, and I said this in, actually, I think I posted it today or something. I posted it this morning. Like, you have to be like your biggest fan and your biggest promoter, because if you're not, no one else will. So even simple things that, like, I'll do these little voiceovers for my reels. I have branding and content bars. That's the reels whole section, right? And so I'll do a voiceover, a quick bar, and literally I hype myself up at the end. Like I'll say it in my head, it sounds mad lame, right? But then when I finish pressing record, I'm like, bars, fool. Look, ain't nobody like if anybody, and I even do it on live. If y'all haven't noticed, if I pause like and I give this like kind of thing, like I know I said something dope. Even if y'all don't think I said something dope, in my head, I was like, that was fire. Because I have to believe it before somebody else believes. Even though from a real like front face value and like in person kind of thing, I'm very humble. That's not like anybody, and Bernadette will know, anybody who says, Nicky, you the goat, I was like, I'm a baby goat. I'm a baby goat. I'm getting my stats up. I'm a baby goat. Okay. It's going to happen. But right now I'm a baby. Right. And baby goats are cute. But anyway, so I will always say that. But in my head, I'm like, I dropped this piece of, you know what? This is what I will say. This is inside my head real quick. Inside my head, I did this really dope breakdown on Instagram of the circles of CEOs, right? It was like a 7 carousel, like slide thing, breaking it all the way down like nobody else business. And I'm like, there's no one doing this. Even with our podcast, there's no one breaking down the people we look up to or the people who are doing it right now. There's no one breaking it down like that. Why wouldn't you get yourself hyped up for seeing something that is different, for seeing something that no one else is doing, instead of doubting it, instead of like, oh my God, what would they do, blah, blah, blah. Like, if no one else is doing it, that's good. We're picking out different niches, different styles, all these different things to be different. If you're different, that's good. We haven't seen you before. We haven't heard you before. So the second you realize that, I don't care if you think it's wrong. If it's different, I need you to hype yourself up internally, clearly. Now, if you out here like, see, I did that, I posted that, and I'm fire, what? That's on you. It's your prerogative. Who am I to say you are wrong? I know for me, I hype myself up well, not internally. I really say it. I have cathedral ceilings, so it echoes in my house. But you gotta hype yourself up. That's it.
I love that. Hey, we're looking for the behind the scenes video of you hyping yourself up after a post. You know what I'm saying? Let us know when we can get that real quick. You record the bars, like, let's go.
Bars.
That would be dope.
Bars.
Yeah, bars.
I'm just
I love
saying.
that. Yeah. Final piece to that, man, too, is like, if we're talking about trusting your voice, trusting your lens, just speaking out a little bit more than usual. I think the final layer that comes with that is, of course, being expressive, right? Wanting to share a little bit more, like not wanting to silence yourself after everything that you feel, right? And the other thing is be okay being a little bit more vulnerable or transparent. And I truly believe that that's a superpower, right? Like oftentimes we used to think that people are weak for speaking about their experiences or their life or what they've been through, right? Or we might take that as them complaining. But if you think about what you said also, like many of those who we look up to, the reason why we are encouraged by them or the reason why we listen to them, it's because we look at them like, wow, not only is what you're saying so good, you have the courage to get up in front of hundreds or thousands of people or tens of people, whatever it is, and speak about the worst parts of your life.
Yeah.
Or just tough times of your life, or just major things that you've been through. Like you have the courage to share that, right? So the final layer to that, if you're looking for a boundary, and I wouldn't even consider these boundaries for creation. These are more so like turbo boost, right? Like things to kind of get you out there a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's like, work on being more transparent and vulnerable. In a world of 7 billion people, there is somebody out there who's feeling what you're feeling.
Yeah.
Right? Like as unique as we are, you can almost guarantee there's someone out there who's feeling what you're feeling or is experiencing something similar to what you're feeling. And the other part that you probably haven't thought about, they're probably looking for someone to explain what that feeling is, or
Right.
what that experience is like, right? Or what they can learn from that, or how they can avoid that. Because it's happened to me. There have been times where I felt something, right? I'm going through a challenge, a personal challenge, and I hear someone explain it in a way that I couldn't get my mind to process that on its own. That I'm like, wow, yo, why didn't I think of that way? Man, that's really helpful.
Right.
So again, a lot of the value that you get is by somebody having the courage to be transparent, to be vulnerable, to be, to stand up and just trust that sound and putting it out, because you never know what it can do for somebody else. And at the essence of it, man, that's what it's all about. Like, yes, the numbers are great, the likes are great, the comments are great, the shares are great, the money is great, everything is great. But to strip all that away, there's no better feeling than being able to watch your work impact somebody else's life. Period, point blank. I don't think that you could put a price tag on that for somebody to come back and be like, yo, I've been able to do X, Y, Z because of what you said or what you did or the work that you do. That's an incredible feeling. So I think when you combine all of those things together, it almost becomes difficult not to. Mm-hmm. It's no longer should I. It actually becomes difficult not to have your own YouTube show, have your own podcast, have your own community or team of people or workshops or things that you do or trainings, right? Where you're utilizing your experience and your knowledge to help other people. And again, that's just our space. So forgive me if all of these examples are only relevant to, things that are happening in our space. For somebody else with a different type of business, it still applies. Because quite frankly, even the best leaders are using their personal experiences to help inspire their team, to help keep their teams and their people on task. So like, it works both ways. It just depends on how you look at it.
Yeah, I mean, even so, if we look at, because I saw somebody put Diddy mode, right? Even when the highest of highs, as far as celebrities and influencers, when they're a bit transparent, people rock with it. When Diddy lost, his baby moms and was struggling with that, right? People felt for him. People were more drawn to him because Diddy had this whole, can't stop, won't stop. And this is what I do and I work and blah, blah, blah. And to see him be vulnerable and to see him go through pain, right? People are like, yo, you're human. Yo, you go through this too, right? And unfortunately, it took tragedy for us to understand that about Diddy. But the fact that he was transparent about that allowed people to look at him a different kind of way and probably gained extra respect and loyalty based off his transparency, right? Mm-hmm. Another one, of course, is Jay-Z when he was transparent about the cheating, right?
Oh, yeah.
And how people, and I think he said it in an interview, like, yo, you saved my marriage. Like, what you went through, like, saved this and killed a argument with my girl and this, that, and the third. Like, and even from when Beyonce expressed her ways with that whole situation, females was like, I've been through that. I know. Like, you want to be a certain level of transparency for people to feel like they can connect with you, because when they feel connected, they stay longer. They're not just there for a product or a service. They're there for you, and they're there to support instead of just use. Now it's more of a mutual situation.
That's real. That's real. No, that's so real.
Shout out to Isaiah with the super chat. The other one. The other one.
See
Jones.
You.
You know what I mean? But it is about that time. So everybody who got any kind of value from this, just share this, right? Share this if you feel like you really, really, really got value. Hit the super chat for those who are live. If you're watching the replay, just share it. We want to grow the YouTube. We want to grow the podcast. All that great stuff. Moose, how are you feeling about this all access thing? How are you feeling about it?
Man, I'm excited because for one, it gives people an opportunity to. For me, it feels like we're letting people come and hang out with us after the show. Mm-hmm. Like it's like cameras off, just come, let's kick back, drink some coffee together and just chat. Like that's really what it feels like. So I think it's cool if you're somebody who's into that and just wants to kind of see what are we off camera. I mean, although we're still on camera during the time of the, of that all access. But if you're wondering what that's like and how we just kind of dialogue around things, that we're preparing for the show or after the show or our realist opinions about something, definitely come check us out for that, because it's just, like literally when I'm recording that after show, I'm more so like laid back. I'm not super like uptight or I got to be so proper. I'm just like, no, let's just convert, have a good conversation and chill a little bit. So yeah, make sure you check us out for that, man. I think it's dope what we're able to do on there.
Facts. So all Apple Podcast users, go get the All Access Squad. For my Android people, go get an iPad. I can't help. I can't help but to say that. So, by the way, congrats on the big day. Aw, let's go, Terry. Let's go.
Thank you so much.
Everybody, clap it up for
Thank
Moose.
you so much.
We're still celebrating the big day. We're still celebrating. I still can't believe.
Yeah.
I still can't believe I was there. I was part of it. I was part of it, and I had really good sushi. Oh my God! Can we talk about that for 3 seconds?
Sushi.
That was I want to go wherever that was. I want to go back because I always now want plátanos on my sushi. I always want plátanos on my sushi.
That was a nice little remix, for real.
Right. If anybody has not experienced having plátanos on their sushi, right, you're missing out in life. In life. This is what I'm talking about. Life. Okay. But anyways, we're gone. We will see you next Tuesday, same time, same place. Okay. And here's my mom. Good at speaking. Wait. You got to read. This is what I always say at the end of now you get to hear it, what mom's feedback. She said, self 5. She gave a little gif. Good at speaking, good at teaching, both of you.
Wow.
Hear me?
Thank you, Mama Nix. Yeah.
Thanks, Mom. Anyways, we're out. Go check out the full video tomorrow of episode 39. And if you ever want a certain topic to go over in the podcast, let us know. Hit our comments, hit our DMs up, however you feel like it. Hit us up. A lot of people, especially when the verses went on, they were like, yo. You and Moose going over this? Barely, but yeah, we'll go over it because Soulja Boy is just too much. Soulja Boy is too much. Anyways, we love you guys. We out. You already know what we're going to say.
Later, y'all.